Good evening. I would like to call to order the Governing Board meeting of March 27, 2012. Welcome, everybody. Dr. Campbell, will you please lead us in the salute of the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pretty good. Next time.
Let's see. Right into my, oh, here it is. I'd like to point out that Jeffrey Darbut is sitting in tonight for Dr. Joanne Pond from Mesa Community College. Welcome. This is time for Citizens Interim. It's an opportunity for members of the public to address the Governing Board. In compliance with open meeting law, the Governing Board will neither discuss nor take action on any issues raised during this period. If necessary, issues will be taken under advisement and placed on a subsequent agenda. I don't have any names before me, so I'm assuming there are no speakers for Citizens Interim. All right, members of the board, Dr. Campbell, do you have a report?
No, I don't have a report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Ms. Pearson? No. Okay. Mr. Starr?
None.
Mr. Lum?
Yes, well, I guess we all did. We all went to Rio Salado accreditation, and no errors. We're all proud of everybody at Rio Salado for the accreditation, all the work that went into it. Dr. Bustamante, all the work that went into your staff, it was well done. They were very impressed with all you did, and we were very impressed with you also. So thank you for all that. Can you give applause for that? That's a big deal. Not for 10 years, you get bugged again. You're good for 10 years. I had a chance to visit with a real jewel of Arizona, Marshall Trimble. I just want to do a personal visit with him. I think Dana also did a visit. We were going to do it together, but our schedules got a conflict. And what a wonderful person and a storyteller. And I'm glad he worked for Scottsdale Community College. And talking to him, you just end up getting into stories about history and just wonderful stories about Arizona. Today I had a wonderful meeting with the students of Glendale Community College. I met with the student leadership there. Just dynamic students, really caring about the school. They had really good things to say about the new president and the faculty over there. And then from there, I went to honoring the faculty for all the retirees, 35 years, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5 years. And it was just a wonderful event, especially after hearing from the students saying, we love our faculty, and they really help us. So it was congratulations to Glendale. Thank you.
Right. And I believe it's next week we're going to Glendale, or it's a week after next. We're going to Glendale to meet with the Higher Education Commission team who will be doing a study of Glendale. So we look forward to that. All right. The internal community, Dr. Glasper.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I have two items that I would like to share with you this evening. The first item is consistent with some awards that we've received in the past. This year, the National Council for Marketing and Public Relations announced its regional and national level awards at nearly the same time. So I would like to ask Tom Garapi if he would come forward and report on the Maricopa colleges that have won individual awards.
Thank you, Dr. Glasper. Members of the Governing Board, Dr. Glasper, members of the CDC, friends. The National Council on Marketing and Public Relations is the organization that helps community college marketing and communications departments do a better job of what they do. Each year, NCMPR holds competitions among community college marketing departments in a variety of categories. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that the Maricopa Community Colleges took home 12 national or regional awards in the latest competition by NCMPR. This is an indication of the quality of marketing and communication services that your marketing departments bring to you throughout the district. Presenting the face of Maricopa to the people of Maricopa County is one of the most important things our marketers can do, and they do an extraordinary job of it. These are the awards. The Paragon Awards, which are national level competition. In social marketing, a silver award to Glendale Community College. Direct mail campaign, a bronze award to Mesa Community College. The Medallion Award winners, these are the regional awards. Annual report, a gold, Phoenix College. Poster, a gold, South Mountain Community College. Television advertising, a gold, Chandler Gilbert Community College. Logo design, a gold, Phoenix College. Bronze, Chandler Gilbert Community College. Website, a silver, South Mountain Community College. Social marketing and e-marketing, a gold, Glendale Community College. Media success story, a gold, Glendale Community College. Electronic magazine, a bronze, Phoenix College. And the wild card category, a silver, Phoenix College. Thank you.
In addition to that report, I would like to share with you a report of my initial, the inaugural meeting of the Homeland Security Academic Advisory Council. I shared with the district that I was recently asked to be a member of the new Homeland Security Academic Advisory Council put together by Secretary Napolitano. We had our first meeting in D.C. It includes approximately 22 individuals from higher education, not-for-profit, public, private, HBCUs, historically black institutions, Hispanic serving institutions, tribal serving institutions, Asian and Pacific Islanders are represented from their association. So it's a pretty cross-sectional group. And she charged the group to look at 5 different areas, and we formed 5 different subcommittees. Just a little background on Homeland Security. Homeland Security has approximately 220,000 employees in 75 different countries. And the concerns that the Secretary would like for us to advise she and her senior leadership on relate to the areas of student and recent graduate recruitment, Homeland Security academic programs, academic research and faculty exchanges, international students, and campus resiliency. I don't know if many of you are aware, but we currently, through Gateway Community College and the Global Corporate College, help to serve and provide training for TSA here in the Valley. And it's part of a national consortium that services TSAs throughout the country. The Secretary is interested in providing a pipeline for individuals to obtain associate degrees, bachelor's degrees, and master's degrees, and have an opportunity to come to work for the for Homeland Security. There are 7 major areas under Homeland Security, of which TSA happens to be one of them. U.S. Customs is another major area. So she's asking this individual group to think about what does it mean for us to not only focus Homeland Security in the last year since 9/11, we've been focusing on how do we keep individuals out of the U.S. that may have some issues around terrorism or threats to our country. And we need to think about how do we embrace and change the way that we can deal with not only international terrorism, but domestic terrorism and others within our country, and to begin to educate employees and to provide them with other perspectives in regard to how they look at Homeland Security. So we have been asked over the next 2, 3, or 4 years, because those are the extent of the terms, to begin to report out on each of these 5 committees. There is no particular timeline for reporting out, so as we garner information in any of these areas, we will be sharing that with the Secretary, and she will take action. She's the only one who needs to opine on those particular recommendations. It gives us a good opportunity to look around our own district and to see how do we utilize our own staff. What happens if there is an actual emergency here in the Valley and we are called upon? I know that we are looked at as individual sites in case there is an emergency for us to have places to send to use any of our facilities if there's a county emergency. What happens if we need to have a volunteer fire department or volunteer individuals to serve in terms of fire service, in terms of emergency medical services and others? So it depends on how we look at this. I will be working with our academic staff, with our college safety and others to begin to look at each of these individual areas and to see how we can contribute. But this is also an opportunity for us to think about how we can ramp up our own training service in each of the individual areas, and we can provide part of that pipeline, including the one from associate degrees, but also the certificate training, and then to demonstrate what community colleges are all about throughout our county and also our nation. So I look forward to this service, and we'll be reporting back to the board on my activities in this particular area. We meet on a quarterly basis, so I would expect to have at least 2 more meetings this particular calendar year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Glassburn. Congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you.
It's interesting to look forward to the ways that our community college will be engaged in those efforts over the next few years. Mr. Starr, do you have a secretary's report?
Nope.
Student life reports. We have students from Gateway Community College.
Good evening, and thank you, President Burke, governing board members, Chancellor Glasper, CEC, and guests. My name is Nadisha Patel, and I am Associated Student Council Public Relations Commissioner, and presenting on leadership development is Juan Tuxtla.
Hi, my name is Juan Tuxtla, and I am the Vice President of the Associated Student Council. At Gateway Community College, we offer many leadership opportunities. In the fall, our students attended the Maricopa Community College District 3-day Student Life and Leadership Retreat at Pine Summit Camp in Prescott. In November, 7 student leaders attended the American Student Government Association conference in LA, or in Los Angeles, California. At this conference, the real power was connecting with other student leaders from across the country. While we were in Los Angeles, we took this opportunity to visit the Museum of Tolerance. The Museum of Tolerance challenged us to understand history on the Holocaust. This year, leadership will be held from June 5th through the 10th at Central Arizona College. Leadership is a 6-day retreat that is offered to students from across the United States. 7 students from Gateway Community College will be attending and participate in activities that will focus on leading with integrity. Next is a presentation on Gateway campus events and activities.
Hi, my name is Crystalyn Ramos, and I am the Hispanic Student Organization President. Gateway Community College offers several events and activities where students can volunteer and get involved in program planning and club events. Student Council hosts several activities on campus, including Pizza with the College President, student forums, and the Gateway Community College Holiday Buffet, open to our students and their families. Tomorrow from 11:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., we will host our spring event. Spring means clear skies, sunny days, and Gateway Community College's annual Geckoland Carnival. Every year, Gateway students and staff gather together on campus for food, fun, entertainment, and good company. The carnival is free and open to the public, and Gateway Community College invites you to join us. Another upcoming event hosted by Student Life and the International Education Committee is Genocide Awareness. Camp Darfur is a traveling presentation that raises awareness by placing a simulated refugee camp on campus, providing a historical and chronological look at genocide from Armenia, Cambodia, Rwanda, and the Holocaust. The event will include speakers, activists, expo tables, and information about human rights issues.
Clubs and organizations. There is a broad range of student clubs that explore a variety of activities and interests that promote social, cultural, and academic awareness. This year, Gateway Community College clubs have been involved in many different activities. In February, the Black Student Union celebrated Black History Month by honoring members of the Tuskegee Airmen. Our clubs are active on campus and as well in the community. On Valentine's Day, Club Insight participated in a senior-junior prom at a local retirement community. In April, the Student Nurses Association will host a Bone Marrow Be the Match registry drive. We thank you for your time and for giving us the opportunity to share with you the many activities going on at Gateway Community College.
Thank you. Well, that was an excellent presentation. Thank you very much. Faculty Executive Council report. Eddie Jenna.
I'll just put it right there. President Burke, members of the board, Chancellor Glasper, members of CEC, distinguished guests. Just taking a brief moment tonight to give you a news flash, breaking news, in fact. Posted on azcentral.com this evening, the headline, Arizona Guns on Campus Bill is dead, lawmakers say. Nothing's over till it's over. Despite the fact that the sponsor of the bill said it was over, we're just going to be cautiously guarded with regard to this. But it was an enormous effort by many folks, including the support of the governing board, which made a big difference in getting the faculty and other employee groups to recognize this was an extremely important issue in terms of preserving our teaching and learning environments. So I want to thank everyone who was involved. And that's it.
Thank you. Employee group reports. Phil Jalowick, adjunct faculty.
President Burke, members of the governing board, Chancellor Glasper, members of CEC, and our many guests. 150 adjunct faculty will be attending the largest conference yet at this spring's Adjunct Faculty Learning Conference on April 14th. The conference is being hosted by Scottsdale College, we thank you, and is being sponsored by MCLI. The conference will include a keynote presentation by Chancellor Glasper on disruptive innovation and student success. Our Executive Vice Chancellor, Maria Harper Marinek, will be recognizing outstanding adjunct faculty and for recognizing their service, as well as those who have provided service for more than 15 years. It's titled Effectiveness Through Design, Dialogue, and Engagement. The conference includes 11 learning sessions, which include, of course, areas like course design, ways to be more effective in engaging students, investigations and reports on teaching and learning research, and different approaches to apply them. Adjunct faculty will also be engaging in peer-to-peer discipline dialogues, which has grown to be a very interesting and novel addition to our conferences. And we thank all of the presidents for either participating themselves or sending designees. It's going to be pretty important for adjunct faculty to see administration, to understand, again, as they do, that they're appreciated, and thank you for all the continuing support.
Thank you. Ann Omke, Retirees Association.
Good evening, board, administrators, and guests. I'm really very happy tonight, something that the district or retirees have been working on for a long time for the district, and to make Chancellor Glasper, I think, extremely happy. I'm going to announce the beginning of the Emeritus College. The purpose of Emeritus College is twofold: to provide a venue and focus for continued social, intellectual, creative, and lifelong learning opportunities for the retirees of MCCD, to provide continued association and service beneficials to both retired, currently serving colleagues, and to their students. To accomplish these endeavors, MCCDRA, Emeritus College, will foster opportunities to engage in activities that focus on current events, affecting MCCDRA retirees, to develop experiences and opportunities that provide venues for sharing the many creative gifts and intellectual talents of MCCDRA retirees, to provide and design activities for social interaction. Obviously, we still belong in this world and we still function socially and are involved in many other community activities, so it's important that we continue those activities. Provide additional support to enhance ongoing activities and programs for MCC district colleagues and students. I think, as far as I know, we're the first community college in the country to have an emeritus college. There are many other university ones around the country, but I think, to our knowledge, I have not seen them anyplace else. One that was on the West Coast folded. I've talked to them, but so I think we're probably now the only emeritus college that's going to be functioning. And I would hope that, obviously, we want to share our talents that we still think that we have, and obviously we have many talents out there with colleagues who are still participating in the campuses. We'll be building schedules in the fall. We'll be seeking room space to utilize those spaces on your campuses, and look forward to having participation from our present faculty and students who have things that they might choose to offer for experiences for us and for us to share back with them. So thank you very much, and we look very much forward to having this off the ground. Thank you.
I would like to pay Ann Omke a compliment. She was one of the founders of the Retiree Association and is finishing a 2-year term as president. But she has been a very energetic leader and at the same time has been volunteering at Phoenix College for a number of years, working with students and with graduates. So we appreciate your dedication and your work. Donna Winston.
President Burke, members of the Governing Board, Chancellor Glasper, CEC, and guests. My name is Donna Winston, for those of you who do not know me. I am the All CPD Chair, and for those of you who do not know what CPD means, it stands for Collaborative Policy Development. This team consists of crafts, M&O, MAT, PSA, and public safety employee group leaders. We are working together with the administrative team, who consist of MCCD employees from HR and management. We are very pleased to announce we are utilizing the IBN process, which stands for interest-based negotiation, and Eddie Jenna is our facilitator, who's doing a fabulous job and at keeping this very large group on task. We are full of wonderful ideas, creative thinking, a sense of camaraderie, and thank God a sense of humor, especially when Eddie starts to laugh, because if any of you have never heard him, it's very infectious. Personally, I find all of this very refreshing. We are building trust and relationships, and we are in alignment with the concept of One Maricopa. All CPD IBN team are working very hard on creating a staff common policy, which was a task that the Chancellor gave us a couple of years ago. This will create a more unified policy manual for all employees to understand. We are sending a very positive, proactive message to all of our employees who fall within the policy groups mentioned above. So instead of reinventing the wheel, I will share with you the communique we sent out. The message was, we would like to inform you of the following progress in regards to our employee manuals. As you already know, there has been informal discussion in regards to staff common policy manuals, crafts, M&O, MAT, PSA, and public safety, which there has been very rich discussion and verbiage, cleanup on the language that is more concise and much easier to understand. The purpose of this common manual is so that our employees will have a like process for items we come across often, such as employee vacancies, employee reassignments, employee assessments, probation, grievance, corrective action, etc. We are confident that you will like the proposed changes and will be happy with the progress we have made. The collaborative policy development team are utilizing the interest-based negotiations process and has primarily focused on 3 major areas: internal hiring, corrective action, and grievance. We'll have final language to the employee groups for ratification this spring so that the governing board can act on it before the end of the fiscal year. Please note that this is an informal agreements and nothing will be changed without our formal process to do so. Our promise to you, though, is the proposed changes in our manual will only enhance and strengthen employee protections while also clarifying and simplify the policies that are govern us. So really quick on that note, we just want to give you guys a kind of look, an idea of what this manual is going to look like. The A section pertains to all the Maricopa employees, and these are the sections that are like the all-employee manual that Teresa Toney primarily deals with. So it goes through all the main things, the items like federal law, state law, things that we have absolutely no control over, but is important for us to have. The section B is what we reference as our HR section. These are the things like personnel files, sick leaves, vacation, banked, CEU credits. So it's going to be very easy to identify. Section C is the staff common policy. Now we have 8 subcommittees, and these are the items that we're working very hard on with the focus on the 3 items I mentioned earlier. Section D will be those sections that pertain to the individual employee groups. For example, craft, M&O, public safety have a uniform allowance. It does not apply to PSA and MAT. So those little sections will be within those kind of categories. How we govern our professional growth, those type of things will be in this section because it's very different and unique to each policy group. Section E is all the, I hate to say all the other, but basically that's where this falls, OYO, OSO, specially funded, skill centers, athletic specialists. So we're very excited that we have made such strides and very excited that this year our hope is to have one unified policy manual, and it would be so much easier to deal with one process, one response to everything that we do, especially where corrective action and grievance processes are concerned. The timelines are the same, the process is the same, so a poor manager who has to deal with all employee groups has one process to follow, and they don't have to go crazy trying to look at, oh, am I doing this wrong, am I doing that wrong? So anyhow, that's kind of give you a glimmer of what it is that we have, and we're very excited, and this team has worked very hard. We meet every 2 weeks for 4 hours, and it's just amazing how much work we have gotten done. So, any questions? Great.
Are we going to get a copy of this?
Pardon me?
Are we going to get a copy of this?
Yes, the table of contents, the manual itself is in the working. And I will share that when Lynn, Mary, and I first started compiling all this, we have taken all those manuals. If you stack them on top of each other, there is like 200 and something pages if you took them all. And just what she and I have done over the last couple of years, we've condensed it down to like 120 pages, so we're hoping to condense it down way more than that. So we're very excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It occurs to me that as a board, we ought to talk about employers more often to say thank you. We talk to one another, and we are aware of the dedication of our employees, of their loyalty, of their energy and their professionalism, and I want you to know that this board appreciates all that employees are doing. Vice Chancellor reports. Dr. Maria Harper-Marinick.
See colleagues and guests. Tonight on your agenda, we are submitting an item for your consideration and approval of a new grant awarded to Maricopa by the National Science Foundation for an amount that is just over $8.7 million to increase student achievement in mathematics. 3 of our colleges are going to collaborate on this effort. Scottsdale taking the lead, also Glendale and Channel Gilbert. And due to the magnitude of the award and the importance of this work, as it is related directly to one of your outcomes on developmental ed, we're asking the lead investigator for the project, Dr. April Strom, who is a faculty at Scottsdale Community College, to present information about the project. So, April, if you would approach the podium, please.
May I interrupt just for a moment before you begin? I skipped over a report, and I want to alert Kevin Velasquez that we will take that report after this one. Thank you.
Okay, members of the governing board, our chancellor, members of the CEC, district officials, guests, good evening. My name is April Straw, mathematics faculty at Scottsdale Community College, and I'm also the principal investigator of the Arizona Mathematics Partnership Project. On behalf of SCC and our president, Dr. Gaylor, it is my honor to announce that the National Science Foundation has awarded us a 5-year, $8.7 million mathematics and science partnership grant led by Scottsdale Community College. This has been 3 years in the making for us. This project is a unique partnership involving 3 of our community colleges, Scottsdale, Chandler, Gilbert, and Glendale, and 7 local school districts, Scottsdale, Fountain Hills, Chandler, Deer Valley, Florence, J.O. Combs, and Salt River, Pima. I would like to recognize the presidents and VPAAs from Scottsdale, Chandler, Gilbert, and Glendale for their support, as well as my faculty colleagues that I've dubbed the Dream Team, who are participating in this project and who are attending the meeting tonight. Please stand to be recognized. We've got a few people back here. Thank you. The purpose of the project is to support teachers in helping them advance the teaching and learning of middle school mathematics. We expect that this project will contribute to improved developmental mathematics in our colleges. The project targets 300 in-service middle school math teachers, 40 school administrators, 140 pre-service teachers from our colleges, and we will impact 24,000 students in grades 5 through 8 in Arizona. As a result of this project, we aim to increase student achievement in mathematics in Arizona and produce quality research to support the teaching and learning necessary for meaningful improvement. So this is the largest competitive grant award to be offered to the Maricopa Community College District, and I'm also proud to say that this is the largest grant that NSF has ever funded, led by a community college for the Math and Science Partnership Project. It has been only through the unwavering support of our college president, Dr. Gaylor, our outstanding VPAA, Dr. Kaur, and the amazing talent and faculty of the Maricopa Community Colleges that we've been recognized by NSF as leaders in the field of mathematics education. So tonight we are seeking your approval for funding for the first 2 years of the 5-year project, totaling $3.2 million. On behalf of the Arizona Mathematics Partnership Team, thank you.
Kevin Velasquez. Well, Kevin, it's nice to see you again. Kevin and I ran into one another at Rio Cafe the other day, and he gave me a little preview of this. We're looking forward to hearing the full report.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Chancellor Glasper, CEC members, staff, faculty, and the audience. My name is Kevin Velasquez. I am an employee in Student Financial Services here at the district office. I am here tonight representing the United Tribal Employee Council. I currently serve as the council's president. For almost 30 years, UTEC has represented both American Indian students and employees throughout the Maricopa Community College District. I understand my predecessors have updated the governing board and the community in this forum from time to time. I also understand that it has been a while since we have come before you. Tonight, I wanted to reassure you that we have not completely fallen off planet Maricopa. We are alive and well and are ever ready, as well as always, to support Maricopa's student success, diversity, inclusiveness, and engagement missions. The breadth and depth of American Indian affairs at Maricopa varies. However, it has many similarities and unities with the other constituency groups, one of which is acclimating leadership throughout our organization and all levels within our organization to the values and ideologies that are critical to student success. We are grateful to the administration and the governing board in their support when it comes to educating and supporting the cultural and academic values held by our students and their sovereign tribal nations and communities. Tonight, on behalf of the United Tribal Employee Council, I want to personally invite you to the 12th Annual American Indian Convocation. This event rotates throughout several Maricopa community campuses, and this year will be held at Mesa Community College on Thursday evening, May 10th at 6 p.m. We would be honored to have you join us in celebrating the academic achievements of our Indian scholars. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Back to the Vice Chancellor reports. Nikki Jackson.
Can I have a question on the Science Foundation grant? How is that aligned with testing, and how is it aligned with our math tests that we provide when they come to college? What are you doing in those areas?
So I assume you're referring to the mathematics placement exams?
Correct, yeah.
I wouldn't say that there's an alignment per se directly to the exam itself. What it is aligned to is the Common Core state standards that have been coming out for K-12, specifically in mathematics. And that's kind of starting to mesh into the community college developmental math courses. So that will inform future directions of a placement exam should we try to redesign that. I think some conversation's been happening about that.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, CEC, and guests. Please indulge me for a few minutes. I am compelled, now that I am a year and a few months into my tenure serving as your Vice Chancellor for Human Resources, to share with you a little bit about our transformational efforts and what that has yielded thus far. In the area of HR development, last year we focused on carving out a very clear role statement in human resources that is being clear on who we are, what we do, why it matters to this enterprise. And the result of that is that we have a very clear role statement and guiding principles. Part of the spirit of the guiding principles requires us to be very thoughtful and intentional with regard to how we grow and develop HR talent across the enterprise. Toward that end, this week we had 15 HR practitioners who attended the AZ HR Executive Forum to hear from renowned organizational leadership development expert Marcus Buckingham, whom you may be familiar with during his work with Gallup and Strengths Quest. His most recent work is called Stand Out. This is his book, and he spoke from this book when we had an opportunity to meet with him, and it was absolutely wonderful as we, as HR leaders, thought about how we can build to our employees' strengths and lead from a place of strength. This morning, 25 HR leaders convened for the inaugural HR Extended Leadership Meeting that was held in partnership with the University of Phoenix. This focus was around how do we, as HR practitioners, model the way. Our people leaders attended. We'll be working strategically on living our role statement and guiding principles within HR as a result of this work, and we have 3 more sessions scheduled this calendar year. Next, we are very proud to share that we have developed a cohort of trained, qualified, ready ambassadors, facilitators who will be trained and deployed to serve as one Maricopa resources as we think about conflict resolution and decision-making models using the IBN approach that has been touched on earlier. We have several in this room, to include our esteemed board president, who has elected to serve as one of those facilitators, and we are very thankful for that. We've also begun to research and develop a brand new performance review process that thinks about performance review in its entirety, not just the event or the document, but the process by which we coach and develop our talent across the enterprise in a more thoughtful way. As was shared by Donna Winston, we are very proud to support our movement toward a common policy manual, and I believe that there are 12 policy provisions this year alone that are slated to be moved into a common policy manual. We continue to move very thoughtfully and very judiciously around the campuses, moving out of the building, if you will, out of this building, the HR leaders, and going to show ourselves to be accessible and accountable to our counterparts. And so I'm having those meetings and thank very much my peers among the CEC members for inviting me and welcoming me to their teams and to their colleges to talk about human capital. The HR Solutions Center, our Innovation Center, and the HR administration teams are doing that as well. We've also convened a hiring task force They were appointed by CEC last year. They began identifying a new hiring process for all of Maricopa in September of 2011, and they have completed their task as of December of 2011. I'm pleased to announce that we are now prepared to begin implementation of a brand new hiring process that they have identified. More to come on that. Please note, however, that we are working very closely with the Faculty of Color Committees and its recruiting chair to assure a more disciplined approach in our hiring models so that we are thoughtful around recruiting and sourcing diverse candidates. Also pleased to announce that the Maricopa HR Department is the founding organization for the brand new Arizona Community College HR Directors Commission. We will host the inaugural meeting of that group on Thursday, April 5th. I'm very excited about that. Board members, you have before you a news release, press release that I believe came out last week where Maricopa was honored to receive by CUPA, which is the College and University Professional Association of HR's Regional Award for Excellence in HR Innovation. We traveled to California last week to accept that award. I was honored to serve as the keynote speaker for that conference and talk about how it is that we can transform human resources in a year. And so we're honored that we're getting quite a bit of press around that and a lot of excitement around the transformational efforts that have occurred. Also want to thank the PSA leadership that is here and those that may be listening. I had the honor of speaking with them on a couple occasions over the last week or so with regard to their needs, their concerns. They have been very candid, very forthright, very forthcoming in sharing with me their own experiences, and hopefully they have discerned in me the same kind of candor. I want to read for you a couple excerpts from the letters that I received as a result of that meeting. The first one, and I do have permission to read these, by the way, is from Donna Owens from Australia Mountain, and she says, Ms. Jackson, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and meeting with us, especially with your being under the weather. You still met with us. Had a lot of NyQuil in my system, guys. You remember that? So that was quite an interesting meeting. We really appreciate you doing this. She goes on to say, I wanted to let you know about some of the positive things that are going on. We had a situation here at Australia where there were several employees in a department that were going to file a grievance, and Donna Winston came to our campus and met with us. As soon as she heard their concerns, she immediately implemented the IBN process and asked the vice presidents to come and hear the employees' concerns. The result of that training is that we have a much happier, positive environment. I also want to mention that both Sally and Donna try to make sure things are positive on our end. We know that there are wonderful advantages when working for the district that we would not have if we worked someplace else. We're truly grateful and appreciative of everything that Maricopa does for us. And then I'd also like to read from Miss Elizabeth Buckton. She shared with me that she does like the changes that we're making in HR and has faith in our teams to turn things around for all employees. She also shared with us again, and in talking to me about the experience of our discussion together, she also noted that Donna does a great job in reinforcing the positive. She said that Donna Winston never speaks negative unless we need her to paint an entire picture of a situation. She's spoken the truth, even if we, PSA, don't want to hear it. She shared with us that we need to be positive, be encouraging, be patient, remind us that we are, she reminds us that she is a policy chair and she's doing all she can to keep and fight for all PSA employees. And she wanted to explain that the restructure that we did in HR has created several departments that are there to help us, and she's asking us to trust you. So Donna asks the PSA employees to trust me, so I very much appreciate that. So one thing I do want to say is that as I come forward, and I hope you will continue to indulge this because I do want to make a habit of this, coming forward and talking about what's happening in HR and specifically the impact that it's having on employees, most specifically the employees outside of HR. And so with that, I do, one of the things that you heard in these two letters that were read, that I just read from the PSA employees, is that there is a theme with one particular employee, Miss Donna Winston. And I just want to share my own personal thanks publicly to Donna in particular as a new employee coming to Maricopa and Human Resources and thinking about how I can be most impactful and useful. I have come to rely on Donna because she's so painfully objective and clear, and she holds me accountable, and but she holds herself accountable, and so I am thinking about what moves I needed to make from a restructuring, as thinking about how we're going to expand IBN. Donna was the first person to jump all over that. One of the things that you will hear in just a few minutes from one of our employees in HR is how we now have in place a mandatory training program for all employees, and I will tell you that that was largely at Donna Winston's insistence. And so with that, Donna, as a non-HR employee, I want to give you the finger. Honorary HR employee, if you will. Thank you so much, Donna, for all of your support of us. In terms of leadership foundations, we have finally articulated a very clear standard with our chancellor's wonderful support and the support of CEC. We've articulated a standard of what it means to lead here in Maricopa, one definition of what leaders are expected to do and to be, and we are immersing our employees, our people leaders, through the next few years in this mandatory program that is going to just work wonders for our environment as we move closer to closing some of the managerial gaps around competencies. Here to talk very briefly about that is Ms. Sherry Faulkner, Manager of Employee and Organizational Learning. She's going to talk to you a little bit about this talent development strategy.
Thank you, Nikki. President Burke, Governing Board, Chancellor Glasper, CEC, and our guest. I'm excited that you've given me a few minutes to talk to you a little bit about this wonderful part of our talent leadership development program. It's called our Leadership Foundations. And it's really given us an opportunity to start to have some common language around what does it mean to be a leader within Maricopa. In the HR field, we have a saying that says that employees don't leave organizations, they leave managers. And oftentimes when we explore that, that's as a result of managers doing what it is that they do best, managing systems, getting the job done, the operations. However, oftentimes it's at the expense of the head, the heart, and the hands of engaging those employees. This is not a good situation for anybody being involved. And so when we look at leadership development, we're looking at it from the perspective of how can we engage employees from their strengths, their energy, their productivity. What do they have to offer? And so when we approach Leadership Foundations, we looked just at that approach. How do we focus on the people component of leadership development? It's a win-win for everybody involved. Leaders start to engage on a more interpersonal level with their employees. Employees are engaged from their strengths. They're more productive. They're more energized. The morale is higher. And ultimately, as an organization, we win in the sense that our students, their experiences, the people that they interact with, are more energized. Morale is higher. Problems in terms of complaints are lower. So when we think about leadership development, we looked at this from a strategic perspective. And what I'd like to do is to provide with an opportunity to show you a presentation that was developed in November for the Chancellor's Executive Council to help them orient a little bit better in terms of what it is that we had in mind. So our Chancellor will give a brief overview of the concept. Mrs. Nikki Jackson will give us an overview of the strategy and the benefit of why we did that. Dr. Pat Ponze will give us a quick overview about the main components to give you a better visual understanding of what is part of that program. And then live, in person, I'll give you a current day, up to date, about where we are and the strides we've made, and a brief overview of what our priorities are for the next fiscal year. So with that, let me see if I can manage the AV here. We had this queued up earlier, so apparently somebody had another need for it. There will be a test at the end to be sure that you remember where this is.
The essay or multiple choice?
As we move forward and operationalize the One Maricopa philosophy, we need to ensure that we have a strong leadership foundation based on our principles. We need all leaders demonstrating the 5 practices of exemplary leadership as espoused by James M. Kouzes and Barry Z. Posner in their book, The Leadership Challenge. The principles are model the way, inspire a shared vision, challenge the process, enable others to act, and encourage the heart. Just as CEC will be demonstrating these practices, we need all leaders throughout the organization to do the same. Therefore, Human Resources has been charged with implementing a program that will develop the strong footing supporting Maricopa community colleges as we move forward. The pilot program will begin this upcoming spring semester and will need your support. I have asked Mrs. Nikki Jackson, Vice Chancellor of Human Resources, and her team to introduce our new approach that includes mandatory training for all leaders.
As the Chancellor has indicated, we must develop a strong leadership base across the enterprise, one that's rooted in the leadership principles that must permeate the entire organization. Our leaders, our people managers, must understand their role and what it means to be a leader in this organization. As one Maricopa, they must understand their role in ensuring organizational effectiveness and efficiencies, and in maximizing the use of our resources, especially our human resources. You may be aware that we have a strong talent management model in place. We have already implemented the Executive Talent Management Program and the Leadership Advancement Program. The next program is the Leadership Foundations Program. Strategically, we'll be focusing on the people leaders, the supervisors throughout this enterprise. It's imperative that they understand their role in managing our talent. I'd like to introduce Dr. Pat Hanze, District Director for the Center of Employee and Organizational Development, to talk more about our new program.
Thank you, Nikki. We are excited about this new learning opportunity for leaders throughout Maricopa. As Nikki has indicated, we are expanding the talent management program to now include a strong Leadership Foundations component. Talent management is about the recruitment, selection, development, and retention of talent. And while we will include the leadership principles in the recruitment and selection process in the future, today we want to share how we will address the development component. As Nikki mentioned, the talent management program includes executive leadership development and the leadership advancement programs. The new leadership foundations will include 3 components. The first will be the leadership principles as adopted by Maricopa. The second is our supervisory training program called Navigate Maricopa, and the third component is our diversity inclusion program called MOSAIC. We will begin Phase 1 in early 2012, working with new supervisors hired during 2011 and existing supervisors who are graduates of the Leadership Advancement Program as our pre-selected pilot participants. Our newly hired supervisors will complete a 1-day Leadership Principles course and then proceed to the Navigate Maricopa Supervisory Training Program. The next step will be the completion of a 360 assessment with coaching, followed by our Diversity Inclusion Program, MOSAIC. Our Leadership Advancement Program graduates will begin by completing a 360 assessment. This assessment will be reviewed during a 2-day training on the leadership principles. The training will include discussions about the participants' demonstration of the leadership principles based on their assessment. This will be followed by Navigate Maricopa and MOSAIC for any supervisor who has not already completed this required training. This is a wonderful new direction for the enterprise in support of One Maricopa. We look forward to the expansion of the program following the completion of Phase 1. We will all need to work together to ultimately get all Maricopa leaders, all people leaders, through the training in the Leadership Foundations.
Now, what she would have done is getting ready to introduce me, where I would have set up the program. But since I'm here live, what I'd like to do is to give you an overview of where we're at. We did conduct 2 groups in February. One is the new group for those individuals that were hired May through December, and that totaled 28 new people leaders to Maricopa. They went through the training. They are going to go back through their 360 assessment in July and August. We'll do an interpretation, and then they'll be assigned a coach to be able to work with regard to the results of that assessment for the next 6 months. In addition to that, we did an existing leader group with our 2 graduates of the LAP, which is a Leadership Advancement Program in 9-10 and 11-12. And the reason we did that is I call them our Monday morning armchair quarterbacks, and that is that they've attended all the other components to be a part of the LAP program. And so this was one component that we added to that they could sit
back and give us feedback in terms of what worked now that you've seen the entire holistic approach to leadership advancement, leadership development within Maricopa. And we had 32 of those individuals who participated on February 15th and 16th. And they also did their 360. We did interpretation. And then we'll have ongoing learning goals that they've set for themselves, short-term and long-term, to be able to work towards their opportunities as far as the leadership principles. Of those 61 participants, we had 26 that actually attended the 5-day series for the Navigate Maricopa at the end of February and March. And then we had the other 35 who were tasked with scheduling, getting into the Navigate Maricopa by July, which we have a complete series there. So of all of that, we're really excited about the feedback we're getting. Our next steps is that for the fiscal year 12 and 13, our priority is to get the existing people leaders, approximately 400 within Maricopa, through the 2-day principals workshop. That will consist of about 14 to 15 2-day sessions that we will offer throughout the district to provide flexibility in dates, location, etc. But more importantly, it helps to get our existing leadership on board and connected with what it is to be a leader within Maricopa. Now, at the same time, what we'll be doing is we'll be onboarding new leaders with a 2-year leadership development plan. So as they come on board, they will be actually given a 2-year plan that states what they will need to do over the next 2 years as far as their role as a leader in Maricopa. And we started that with a new group. We are going to put another new group through in April. We thought, why wait? We've got a lot of feedback. We want to get people in sync. So we're actually working that process now. In addition to that, they'll get a 360 after they've had enough time to get feedback, meaningful feedback, through their 360 assessment, and then they'll be assigned a coach, and that coach will work with them for 6 months. And so that is going to be our priority in 12 and 13, in addition to building the coaching model that we're going to put together and have ready to go in July and August. So with that, we're committed for Center Employee Organizational Development as part of One HR to developing quality-driven training and learning opportunities as our leaders quest for their development, and organizationally, however we can help with developing that. So we're excited to be a part of this. Appreciate your support and everybody that's been involved in that. So in the appropriate manner, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to do that, or I can address those in any other manner that you feel is important. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, this program takes my breath away. It's just utterly amazing. I mean, I've been working on this for years, and how do you approach it? How do you talk about it? And when Nikki got here, I had a meeting with her a year ago, and I said, I'd like to see a 360 model. How do we address this? And she said, well, give me a year. Give me a year before we enforce anything. And here it is, and I'm just so impressed. And mainly I love the words mandatory, 360, and coaching. I mean, I think that those are parts of it that really is going to make it successful, and I'm just extremely impressed.
Thank you. Appreciate all the support. Any other questions?
Don, did you have?
No. Just a question regarding how this leadership group you're putting together meets the needs that we're foreseeing in terms of our bubble of retirement coming up with baby boomers. This is a great program. This is meeting that need, I'm assuming, very well. But where do you feel in terms of what we're going to be looking for to replace our existing leaders in the district with the program you've got in place?
I can speak on behalf of what I've seen. We've had some dialogue around this looking at getting our existing leadership pool at a standard that we're expecting. And Pat alluded to this in the overall program, would be that we would want to start looking at developing in our recruitment processes and our selection processes those principles, questions around those principles to start to recruit for the type of leaders we want within Maricopa. So that's one strategy that we're looking at. Another two to keep in mind is that in the 3rd year of the 5-year plan that we have put together for this program, we've actually accounted for, and I think Nikki pointed this out, is that strategically we're wanting our existing base people leaders to go through. In the beginning of the 4th year of this program, what we're looking at are those individuals who have aspirations and or career development plans to want to move into leadership capacities. This would be one of those tools that we would use from a succession planning perspective. So to the extent that we've done any work on succession planning, we think and we envision that would be something that we could use as a tool to help us in that realm.
Great answer.
Do you offer this to any outside?
And this is actually this is based on a public seminar that can be made available. It has been customized for our Maricopa needs, but it is available externally.
Deborah?
one of the things that I am really excited about is the use of the Leadership Challenge 5 points of emphasis, because one of the things that I have found, or that I feel in comparison to what I've seen, is the lack of understanding between the difference in management and leadership. Mm-hmm. You have a greater tendency to overmanage if your focus is on management of people rather than leadership. And the point that I want to really emphasize and encourage and hope that we do is, in this search, there's a tendency sometimes in searching for talent to raise and to bring into leadership and to expose into leadership opportunities, to overlook those that just need the challenge. Because just because they aren't the aggressive, just because they aren't the demanding, just because they aren't the ones that are out in front being the loudest, doesn't mean that some of those within our system that are the quieter aren't also leaders. And they're just needing that challenge and that encouragement of heart, that someone believes and has that confidence in them. And in a lot of ways you can see them in the quiet ways that they lead in positive manner and tone and encouragement. And so I really hope that we take this opportunity to also assess the way that we identify those with leadership potential and make sure that we recognize that in doing so, maybe we also have to question some of our silo mechanisms of information mongering and empowering our people instead of looking so much at management but leadership.
Definitely
well said, Deborah. I mean, it just and I think the diversity aspect might pick up on that too, with because some cultures, the Hispanic, we tend not to be very loud and aggressive and more quiet leadership. But I think the leadership is there, such as Chavez. So well said, and I appreciate that cultural aspect in there, and I appreciate Deborah's words.
Thank you for the feedback. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Ms. Jackson, do you have anything? Okay. I'm not sure we can do this tonight, but I was interested in what you said about a new hiring program or policy. Don't we have a work session for HR coming up sometime? October. Well, okay, I may talk to you before then.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Can I have the author of Stand Out again, please?
Marcus Buckingham.
B-U-C-K...
I-N-G-H-A-M.
H-A-M?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report. We have 2 college reports. 2 college reports. First is Dr. Ernie Lara.
Wait.
Well, I apologize, but I don't see your name here, but I'm going to call on you right now.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Members of the board, I owe you one, sir. If I may, I want to report to the board this evening on 2 somewhat obliquely related items. It was my sad duty yesterday to attend the funeral of Art Macias, Jr., who died last week at the age of 40. Before what was ultimately a losing battle with cancer that he began 9 months ago, Art was the Chief of Staff of the Transportation Security Administration, the TSA, a position to which he was appointed by Secretary Napolitano. But before that, Art served for a number of years as the director of the Arizona Lottery, and it was in that capacity that we came to know him, and about which I report to you this evening. In his years as the director of the lottery, Art was the first gold sponsor of the first Heroes of Education dinner. Stood up and said the lottery is going to do this, and in each year of his administration, the lottery was a sponsor either at that level or at a level near to that, depending on the way in which the lottery fared in any given year. But more than that, Art would come to the dinners himself, and we would always speak after the event, and he would say to me, "This is wonderful, wonderful. We have to do more. There's so much need for so many students, and anything we can do to help, we will." And I have always remembered that message, and I think I will remember it and hear his voice in my ears even more as we go forward with our work. And it is in that context that it is my pleasure this evening to formally invite the board to the 2012 Heroes of Education dinner scheduled for Thursday, April 19th at the Arizona Biltmore. This is our 7th annual Heroes of Education event. I'm not sure we would have gotten to 7, but for folks like Art Macias. And we will honor Lisa Budinger, president of the Arizona College Scholarship Foundation. ACSF provides full 4-year scholarships to deserving and academically qualified students from underrepresented groups. And while that work alone would make Lisa worthy of being recognized as our hero of education, there is more. To be considered for an ACSF scholarship, a student has to be a graduate of one of a select group of college readiness programs that have been proven to enhance student success. Among those programs are the Maricopa ACE programs. And since 2006, more than 30 ACE alumni have received ACSF scholarships. That's a great tribute to ACE and adds up to more than $1 million in support to those students. So you can surely see why we have chosen Lisa as our 2012 honoree. I would invite the members of the board and my CEC colleagues to complete the forms you have in front of you and let us know about your attendance, and we look forward to seeing you and to celebrating with you on the evening of April 19th. Thank you. That concludes my report.
I have a question.
Yes.
Dr. Koval, is that the night we're supposed to be at your federation?
Thank you, and I'm glad that you mentioned the Heroes Dinner. That's a wonderful event, and look forward to the evening coming up in April. Let's see, Dr. Jan Geller. No, I'm sorry, Dr. Ernie Lara. Sorry.
Members of the governing board, Chancellor Glasper, CEC colleagues, and guests, I would like to invite Dr. Brian Tippett, Estrella Mountain Vice President of Academic Affairs, to come to the podium to recognize Ms. Deborah Anderson as a faculty emeritus from Estrella Mountain.
Thank you, Dr. Lara. President Burke, members of the board, Chancellor Glasper, CEC members, colleagues, friends, and guests. It is indeed a tremendous privilege for me to stand here this evening on behalf of Estrella Mountain Community College, requesting that you bestow one of the highest regards of status for a faculty member on Deborah Anderson. Deborah Anderson served students in Maricopa, at South Mountain, Rio Salado, and Mesa colleges prior to her tenure at Estrella Mountain. During that time, Deborah led the district's efforts to incorporate technology into instruction. For example, she oversaw the local area network at South Mountain at a time when this was still a fairly new concept in libraries. At Rio Salado, Deborah was hired to bring technology to faculty and electronic access to information to students at a distance. She also made inroads in bringing the library into the electronic age. While serving at Mesa Community College as the instructional librarian, she redesigned and wrote competencies for a new library and information resource management program. Deborah has also created a number of online courses over the past several years. Estrella Mountain greatly benefited from her leadership expertise, which was instrumental in helping faculty move into the then new Blackboard learning management system. Deborah also served as chair of our Division of Information Resources. Her leadership resulted in the expansion of electronic access to information for students and employees, the incorporation of art as a tool for learning in the library, and conceptualizing new ways to view adjacencies that have been foundational in the design of the new college library. I had the pleasure of meeting Deborah in the late 90s while still cutting my teeth as a an associate dean of math, science, and physical education at Mesa Community College, and Deborah was serving in the position of librarian. At that time, I really didn't know a lot about libraries other than that's where you go to study and you take out books, and that's where you can be quiet and not be bothered while you're trying to study. During that time, Deborah has taught me the differences between public libraries and academic libraries, the tremendous work that librarians do to support student success, things that I had never considered and never would have thought of had she not taken the time to help me to learn. Little did I know at that time that her instruction on my behalf has actually served me well in my leadership position at Estrella Mountain in support of the librarians and the ways that they engage our students and help our students to be extraordinarily successful. When I first started at Estrella Mountain, Deborah was the first person to greet me as I entered the sliding doors of Estrella Hall, and she met me there with a big smile and a hug and welcomed me to the campus because she had just moved to Estrella a few months before I did. I was kind of surprised, but that made all the difference in the world to me as I began my new leadership duties at Estrella Mountain. And it helped me know that I had landed in an environment that would help me to be successful, and that the ways that she was embracing me would allow me to embrace others in the same way. She not only used that welcoming approach on me, but she used that on all of our faculty and staff, and perhaps most importantly, in the way she engaged our students in the library. Deborah decided to retire, and it was actually devastating news for many of us. We have missed her tremendously in the day-to-day operation of our college. Her leadership expertise has not been replaceable. We've tried. We have wonderful librarians who have come on since, but you cannot replace Deborah and the expertise with which she has served students in Maricopa. So it really is an honor for me to stand here and ask that you bestow this title of Faculty Emeritus on Deborah Anderson. It is more than just a deserving honor. It is her life in serving students and helping them to be successful. So I'm going to ask Deborah to join me at the podium. Or Debbie, as we commonly call her. And I'd like to read to you from Dr. Glasper. Dear Ms. Anderson, congratulations on being awarded the Faculty Emeritus distinction. On behalf of the Governing Board and the entire district, I wish to congratulate you and honor you for your dedication and accomplishments in teaching and learning during your long and distinguished career as a faculty member with the Maricopa Community Colleges. I thank you for your distinguished service and the legacy you have left for our students. Sincerely, Rufus Glasper. And then there is a certificate, Faculty Emeritus, awarded to Deborah Anderson, March 27, 2012, in recognition and appreciation for your service to the Maricopa County Community College District, signed by the Governing Board President, Doyle Burke, and the Chancellor, Rufus Glasper. So I'll give Deborah an opportunity to say a few words.
I would just like to thank everybody for the opportunity that I've had here at Maricopa. I think libraries have had a number of challenges and changes over the past 30 years I've been here, but especially the last 15 with the advent of what we called World Wide Web at that time. So I think this common mission that libraries have always had of bringing information to everyone, and the mission that Maricopa Community Colleges have to bring education to everyone has been married so well within this community college. And then when the Internet came alive, we were able to marry that mission again to bring information and instruction via the web to everyone, anywhere, anytime. And I just feel so honored to have been a part of that. It really has been exciting and rewarding, and it could have never happened without the support of so many people I see here and all my colleagues. So thank you again. It's been a great ride. I've enjoyed it. Thanks.
And so I can't leave the podium without saying again to Dr. Solly, thank you for the tremendous foundation that you laid at Estrella Mountain and for hiring Debbie. Any questions?
Good job.
Dr. Jan Geller. Yeah.
President Burke, members of the board, Chancellor Glasper, members of CEC, and honored guests tonight, I am honored to bring before you a recommendation for the award of Emeritus Distinction for Karen Biglin. This is truly a night for faculty who have given their service in the library. Since 1985, Karen Biglin has been a very proud and wonderful artichoke, serving as a faculty librarian at Scottsdale Community College. During her time at SEC, she has taken on a variety of leadership roles, including division chair, faculty senate president, member of the Faculty Professional Growth Committee, and the Assessment Steering Committee, only to name a few. While serving as division chair, Karen worked closely with the Vice Chancellor of Information Technology to provide, for the first time, funding district-wide for electronic resources. Karen attended the Higher Learning Commission's Academy for Assessment of Student Learning and served as the chair of the college's Writing Assessment Committee. As a faculty librarian, Karen has taught countless classes in both face-to-face and online formats. She was chair of the Library Instructional Council during the past year and developed and presented a district workshop on best practices in teaching credit-bearing information literacy courses for librarians. Since 2008, she has taught IFS 101, an online course, watching its enrollment increase to well over 200%. As part of her class, she developed writing modules and assessments which dramatically improved her students' writing abilities. Certified in Quality Matters, Karen has helped others bring quality to their teaching through her service as a peer reviewer and by helping organize the IFS Best Practices Workshop just last year. Karen earned a master's degree in humanities from Cal State University at Dominguez Hills. And what some may or may not know about her from her library experience is that she loves to travel, and it apparently doesn't plan to stop. She has visited every continent in the world with the exception of Antarctica. I don't know why that one isn't on your list. Maybe later. And she shows no sign of stopping. She plans to keep on traveling with trips planned to Mexico, Australia, and even Cuba. It is my honor to recommend the Governing Board Award Faculty Emeritus Distinction to Ms. Karen Biglin, Faculty Librarian at Scottsdale Community College. Karen?
All right. I'm speechless, really. I didn't expect a little ceremony and everything. No, I just feel very honored by this recognition, and I really enjoyed all my years working at the district. It's a wonderful place to work, especially Scottsdale. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you. I just want to say to Debbie and Karen, if I'd heard these speeches before we voted on your retirement, I would have voted no. It's time for external community. There is no AADGB report tonight. ASBA, Mr. Starr?
There's some meetings coming up that I'll report on at our next meeting.
Okay. Legislative update. Patricia Hill?
Thank you. President Burke, members of the board, Chancellor Glasper, members of CEC, and all others present, I'm here this evening to provide you with a brief legislative update. Today is the 79th day of the legislative session. In terms of the legislative process, standing committees have completed their work, and the legislature will spend the next few weeks in caucus on the floor to process the many bills that they've moved through these committees. Thus far, the legislature does appear to be on track to adjourn the session sometime in mid-April, and the target date is April 17th. It would be the 100th day of the legislative session. In terms of job training, House Bill 2815, Employment Incentives Regulatory Tax Credit, has cleared the committees in both chambers. It is now awaiting action in the floor in the Senate. Amendments to the key provisions of the bills are expected, although at this time we don't know exactly what those amendments are going to be. However, these amendments may include the establishment of a study committee that would review options to enhance Arizona's job training efforts. And with respect to the guns on campus, I would certainly concur with Dr. Jenna's assessment. The budget negotiations between the House and the Senate and between the legislature and the governor continue, and we'll keep you updated as those negotiations unroll. In terms of the rest of my presentation, that concludes it. If you have any questions, I'd certainly be happy to try to answer them. Thank you.
Let's see, no awards or recognitions this month. We move to the agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Dr. Campbell moves, Mr. Lum seconds the motion to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously. We move to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Pearson moves, and Mr. Lum seconds the motion to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. We move to the non-consent agenda and business services and approval of proposed fee changes for fiscal year 2012-13. Ms. Thompson, would you care to comment?
Mr. President, members of the board, this is the second time we're bringing proposed course fee changes to the board. We are bringing forward only reductions or elimination of fees based on some input we received at the last meeting, so there are no increases or new fees that are proposed on this schedule.
I'm going to approve the motion. Approve this item.
Mr. Lum moves to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second. I also think we need to celebrate.
Ms. Pearson seconds the motion. Is there discussion? Would you like to celebrate?
Yes. Dance, jig, yes. Thank you, Ms. Thompson.
Well, and she's saying thank you because there's a reduction in fees this year, a significant reduction. I think that's good news for students. Any other comment? All right. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. The second item is the approval of a proposed tuition and fees for fiscal year 2012 and 13. Ms. Thompson?
Mr. President, members of the board, this is also the second time we're bringing forward this item, and this is for action as indicated. We are not proposing a tuition rate increase for next year, so that's consistent with last month's proposal.
Okay. Any motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sarr moves. Ms. Pearson seconds the motion to approve the tuition and fees fiscal schedule for fiscal year 2012-2013. Any discussion?
I think we need to thank, again, Ms. Thompson and Dan Sargent and celebrate.
Right.
Yeah, I think it is a big deal. I think it's the first year that I've been on the board that we haven't had a tuition or a tax increase, and I think it's something to thanks for being conservative, recognizing the community is a time of hardship, and last year we asked the students for tuition increase, and I think it's a good thing, and thanks for being physical.
Yes, the board does appreciate the work that the administration has done to develop this budget, and we are pleased to vote on this. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. The next item is the approval of budgeted expenditure amendment for FY 10-11. Ms. Thompson.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is one of the last steps in completing our preparation of financial statements and our audit. And what it basically does is it relates to the audit that was done of our compliance with the expenditure limitation, which is a provision of the state constitution. And we are measured against our budget. Our compliance is measured against budget. So we seek action from the board to reduce our budget down to actuals, to reduce the amount that falls underneath the expenditure limitation. This is a practice that's been in effect for
a couple of decades, and something we work with the Auditor General and have an Attorney General opinion on going some years back. So we recommend approval.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Lum moves. Mr. Starr seconds the motion for the approval of a budget expenditure amendment for fiscal year 2010-11. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. The next item is the approval of a tenement improvement expenditure with 29 Bell LLC for a northwest campus of the Maricopa Skills Center. Ms. Thompson.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is a site that the district is leasing for the Maricopa Skills Center to expand to put in place a northwest campus, and the award is for tenant improvements in order to make the space usable for the Southwest Skills Center. I'm sorry, the Skills Center.
Okay. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Dr. Campbell moves. Mr. Starr seconds a motion to approve. I was able to visit that site yesterday. It's about 32,000 square feet, and there was a business there that went out of business, and so we were able to find that property. And there are plans with high school districts on the north part of Maricopa, perhaps to move some students into that skills center, and so it's an opportunity for our skills center to advance. So it's a good location, I think.
I think we need the location, but we couldn't find any property that we could buy in that area because it seems like real estate's such a bargain right now.
Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Lum, I'd ask Dr. Giovannini to speak to the decision on leasing.
Right?
We never really did consider where Mr. Starr, the purchase of the property, we have the resources to do such. It is a property that I'm not even sure is available for sale, if you will. The programs that we're looking at in terms of building within that campus will require, as was indicated, some partnership with the municipalities as well as the high school districts there. And should that prove to be fruitful over the year, I would believe that might be something to consider in the future.
When we have more money.
Yes.
Dr. Giovannini, expansion is one of the first ones that you've done off the main campus down the street from here. Do you envision any more throughout the valley in those areas that are job-related?
Well, the College and Skill Center serve two different missions, as you're well aware. And as far as the Skill Center is concerned, we need to be able to serve a population that would meet that need. We have been approached by some partners in which to do that in other areas of the valley, but those are in discussion.
Any other comments or questions? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. The next item is the approval of conceptual approval for the Student Services Portal Complex and Kirk Center expansion at Mesa Community College. Ms. Thompson.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is a 2004 bond project, a significant one for Mesa Community College to help expand and develop further the Kirk Student Center, so we do recommend its approval.
Okay. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Dr. Campbell moves. Ms. Pearson seconds the motion to approve the conceptual approval for the Student Services Portal Complex and Kirk Center expansion at Mesa Community College. Any comments or questions? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. The next item is the approval of the contract award for tennis court reconstruction at Glendale Community College. Ms. Thompson.
Mr. President, members of the board, the tennis courts at the college were constructed in 1965, so they're over 47 years old and are in need of significant reconstruction, refurbishment, and we recommend the award as shown in the documents you have. It's the low bid.
I move to approve.
All right. Mr. Lum moves approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Dr. Campbell seconds the motion for approval of a contract award for tennis court reconstruction at Glendale Community College. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. The next is the approval of a resolution ordering the sale of general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2012. Ms. Thompson.
Mr. President, members of the board, each year we take a look at our outstanding debt and see if it makes financial sense for us to refund those bonds, basically pay them off and reissue bonds at a lesser interest cost. And we, working with our financial advisor, have identified at this time up to $70 million worth of outstanding bonds that we think would make economic sense, would save the taxpayers money to refinance. It will vary the amount that actually happens based on when we sell the bonds in about a month's time, but we think possibly about $3 million in savings over the next 7 years.
Great. Is there a motion to approve? Dr. Campbell moves. Ms. Pearson seconds the motion to approve the resolution ordering the sale of general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2012. Any comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. The next item is an information item on the proposed 2012-13 budget. Ms. Thompson.
Mr. President, members of the board, following last month's presentation on some budget information, we now have provided this evening as an information item the detailed budget that will be continuing to bring to the board next month and either in May or June for final adoption. Gay Murphy has a fairly brief presentation to share with you, building on some of the information we shared about the general fund and giving you a little more information about budgets in some of our other funds.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, board members, CEC members, and our audience. I'm really pleased to be here this evening talking to you about our proposed budget for next fiscal year. Maricopa's All Funds budget is expected to increase by about $160 million for next year. Our general operating fund, however, is going to be pretty flat. Actually, we're looking at a slight decrease for next year compared to the current year. Most of the growth in our budget we're going to see in our plant fund, which is going to come from the sale of general obligation bonds, and also from our in our restricted fund, which will be mostly an increase in federally supported financial aid, although we are very pleased to receive the large grant that we received this evening, so that will be in part of our restricted funds as well. So just looking at our operating highlights for our general operating fund, that's where we support most of the day-to-day ongoing activities of the colleges in the district office. We face some pretty unique challenges in putting together the budget for 2013, something we haven't seen too often in the past. One of the things that happened to us when we were putting together the budget for the current year is that with the state's huge $38 million state aid tax cut, even with the board's approved increase in tuition and property taxes, we didn't have enough money to balance the budget. So we relied on some one-time funds that had been freed up from when we received the federal stimulus funding. The only problem with that is when you balance the budget with one-time money, you can only spend it one time. So the first thing we had to figure out in doing the budget for next year is how in the world are we going to cover a $10.5 million hole in our operating budget. So early in the year, the colleges and the district office started working towards cutting about $15 million from our operating base. So we're also looking at potentially some other types of ways to reallocate revenues, like paying off our revenue bonds early so that we can redirect debt service payments. So for fiscal year 13, we have presented to you a balanced budget. Our Fund 1 budget down slightly, even though we received the $1.4 million in state aid and an additional $7.7 million between the new construction added to the property tax rolls and the payment that SRP makes in lieu of tax. We've not asked the board to consider tuition or tax increase. So for fiscal 13, we're looking at balancing the budget the rest of the way through internal cuts and reallocations. We believe that we'll be able to support the mandatory cost increases. This is about $5 million per year. And also, we'll have funds that we could use for some high priority expenditures, including flex benefits increases that the board's already made, or perhaps increases in student success or in compensation. So the other parts of our budget, our auxiliary fund, slight increase there, mostly related to increases in numbers of students served. With our restricted fund, again, an increase looking mostly at pass-through federal dollars for student financial aid, and any kind of grant support that we would get would go into that restricted fund as well. So for our capital fund, which is really where we're seeing the most increase, we're looking at our increase related to our 2004 capital bond program. The voters approved the $951 million, and the way we manage that is to actually divide that bond sale up into 5 pieces. And to date, we've had 4 bond issues, Series A through D, and next year we will plan to do the final bond issue for Series E, which will be about $151 million, and that, I imagine, will take place around the spring of 2013. So we're actively working to keep the secondary property tax as low as we can. Our AAA bond rating across all 3 bond rating agencies makes our bonds more desirable, and in turn, it makes them a secure investment. People want them. We get a better interest rate. And so we're also looking at, we've looked at refinancing some of the existing GO bonds, which should reduce secondary taxes about $3 million over the life of those bonds. So finally, just a little bit more on our capital development program. We're really winding down towards the end, and we've been working through a combination of purchasing buildings, constructing buildings, and renovating space in order to house all of the programs for growing numbers of students. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
You have questions?
Question. Isn't the federal government at this time looking at approving a $10 billion for community colleges around the country? And at least this was proposed by the president. I don't know whether it has gone to Congress or not.
In Pell Grants. In Pell Grants.
Is it Pell Grants or is it cover different areas or what?
We had looked at the Pell Grants, but any funds that we do receive would go in our restricted fund and would be used specifically for that purpose.
Well,
the capital is based on cash flow more than it is specific projects. The projects have already somewhat been in place in many cases and proposed and so forth. So we're really covering our cash flow needs to pay off these constructions, which I think, and personally, is a much better way to do it than blocking it by project. I applaud you for working on it. I mean, everybody else that's involved, obviously.
It's, I think, been, by being able to maintain that flexibility, it's helped us be able to sometimes, instead of building a new facility, to purchase a facility when one was available. So it's really been very helpful.
And in the growth in the skill center in the area you talked about, is that something you see, and I know you can project the future, of course you can, or is this a bubble that we're looking at? And your long-term planning, how do you see that?
I think in terms of the Skills Center, there is a possibility for real growth because they have the ability to, they're really an auxiliary fee-for-service activity, and they have to be very, very cognizant of what the demand is. So I think as long as we can continue to provide the courses to instruct people in those areas that are in high demand, we should see a continuation.
The costs are reflected almost linearly with the revenue that we're getting so far?
Exactly.
Were you projecting student steady growth or decline, or what, how did you project student growth or decline in this budget?
We're looking at some moderate growth, although some of the colleges we've looked at some slight declines for the spring, but we're still looking at some moderate growth for next year.
What about longer term? I mean, because we're looking at a population decrease in the coming years as far as the upcoming students. Are we planning for that, watching and not overbuilding, overbuying, overdeveloping when?
Well, you raise a very good point, and one of the things we've started to think about as we get near to the end of the 2004 capital development is planning some more for the next 10 years and trying to think about what will Maricopa look like and what will Maricopa's needs be. And we're starting to look at things, whereas this bond issue really was a lot about space and just having the space and the right kind of space to do that instruction. It may be that for a future bond issue is not so much about space, that it may be a lot about the virtual classroom or
technology.
Other, or technology that we can use to address the needs of our population.
I read a statistic recently that 60% of jobs over the next decade will require some college, or if not some college, a college degree. I'm hoping that we will be there to help a significant number of people prepare for those jobs. So I would be positive and expect our enrollments to grow.
Mm-hmm. Well, we want to do that, and again, the more reliance we have on technology, the more technology changes, and the more we have to change, and people will want to change in order to keep current. Mm-hmm. Whether people do that on their own or through partnerships with us where we would provide customized service to private industry.
Mm-hmm. They're still projecting that we'll double the population in Maricopa County in the next 10 years, so that I don't have any doubt that we're going to grow. Mm-hmm. But as long as our revenue and costs are somewhat linear, that's going to work. I guess for me, the most difficult part of putting a budget together in any kind of environment like this, especially one as large as this, is understanding the technology needs of students 10 years from now or 2 years from now. So I commend you to having put this together with the knowledge that it has to have some thought and some flexibility for meeting the needs of our technology for students and the district itself.
Others?
Just one question.
Yes.
I was under the impression also that the foundation is also going to try to raise $150 million. Do we want to address that issue? Is that still
That's part of our
works?
growth.
Mr. Burke, Dr. Campbell, thank you. I think the number is $50 million, but perhaps, Dr. Campbell, you were factoring in inflation.
You didn't have enough money yet.
I think he was thinking about his contribution.
I was thinking the same thing.
As soon as I win the lottery, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, monitoring reports. Ms. Thompson.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is the budget analysis report for the general fund through February so that's the first 8 months of the fiscal year, and our spending patterns are similar to prior years and the budget that was adopted, and revenue collections also are similar to prior years and what we would expect in terms of the cycles of receiving property taxes, tuition payments, state aid payments, etc. So there's nothing unusual to report. It's on track as it has been all year.
Thank you. Our next board meeting is April 10 at 6 p.m. in the Rio Conference Center, and we will be talking about developmental education and the student seamless experience. Most of the people here, I think, are involved in education and know of the work that we do in developmental education. This is the board's interested in this topic, and we look forward to having a conversation about that on April 10. Invite you to come and be with us. This meeting is adjourned.